Hello and welcome to today's episode of Creekside Game Day. I'm your host, Noah Schlicksup, out here at the castle as we get ready for a great matchup between the Mandarin Mustangs and the Creekside Knights. Tonight at Mandarin, both teams come in at 3-1, both with high-powered offenses. Should be a great matchup. Today in the show, I'll be breaking it down, talking with the first Creekside Knight in the NFL, Super Bowl champion currently with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Darious Williams. And then to close it all out, I'll be talking with the Knights kicker, Ronald Daragjati, as well as special teams coaches Shane Bowers and Coach Canterbury, about the Knights' recent success on special teams. All of this and more coming up next on Creekside Game Day. Looking to his left. He's looking deep for Reynolds. He's got it. Just to his left. And wobbly pass is picked off. It's picked off. It's a pick six. McMillan's got it, and he struts into the end zone.
It's time for Creekside Game Day.
Starting things off, as always now, with the matchup breakdown as Creekside and Mandarin come in as two of the best teams in the area with 3-1 records. Two of the best offenses in the area. Should be a great matchup tonight. So what's it going to take for one team to separate themselves from the other? Well, for Creekside, defensively, it's all going to start with limiting the pass. Listen, they have struggled a little bit against that and facing one of the best young quarterbacks in the state in Tramel Jones. This is no easy task. Jones is a polished passer who makes the right decisions, is very accurate, completes 70% of his passes. He's got 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, thrown for over 700 yards already on the season. He makes great decisions and quick decisions too. If the play isn't there, he knows where his outlet is. He will find them for yards or he will take it himself. The secondary will be key as they can't allow open receivers down the field, especially in the middle of the field. That will be killer to the Knights this week. Jones has thrown 0 interceptions this far. He'll be facing a Knights unit that's for 7 through 4 games. For Mandarin defensively, they're going to look to limit the Knights on the run, as of course the run is the bread and butter of Creekside teams. However, I think limiting the passing, getting pressure on the Knights quarterbacks, Sean Aschenfelder and Wilson Edwards, will be big this week. And limiting Nicky Williams, the Knights running back, can't let him get big plays. Got to stay strong. Got to hold your ground throughout the game. Nicky Williams does a great job of wearing defenses down, getting big killer gains later in the game. Mandarin can't allow any big runs, especially in the third and fourth quarter. That's where Nicky Williams has had his success the most. Offensively for Creekside, they will look to do everything that I said. Mandarin will look to limit. They'll look to run the ball with Nicky Williams. They'll look to get some big plays with him in the third and fourth quarter. And passing the ball, I think Mandarin, that's where they're weakest, and that's secondary. I think that's what Creekside's got to attack this week with Sean Aschenfelder, with Wilson Edwards. Those two quarterbacks have performed well throughout this year. And coming off of a successful game, passing the ball against Buchholz, a tough unit, one of the best teams in the state, I think the pass will be key to them coming out on top with a win this week. For Mandarin, I think the passing game is going to be killer against this Creekside team and will be key to their offensive success. On offense, they got Tramel Jones at quarterback, 70% completion percentage this year. He has been amazing. Out there at receiver, Jeremiah Shack, Jamie French, two D1 prospects. French offered by Alabama and Ohio State. This guy is the real deal. Got a few touchdown catches this year, has been tearing apart defensive units. He will be heavily involved in tonight's game plan for the Mustangs. That'll do it for my matchup breakdown. To watch tonight's game, well, you can't watch it, but I am broadcasting this game audio only to my YouTube channel. That is the only broadcast that I know of for tonight's game, so be sure to tune in here on Schlick Sports. Now on to my next segment where I chat with the first Creekside Knight in the NFL, and probably one of the more unlikely stories too. Took a few-year break from football in college. In 2017, had a great year, was signed by the Baltimore Ravens. Won a Super Bowl with the Rams. Now the cornerback for his hometown Jacksonville Jaguars. I got the chance to talk with Darius at TIAA Bank Field this week. Let's check it out here on Creekside Game Day. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Darious Williams, cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, former Creekside Knight. Man, it is great to have a Creekside athlete here in the city, the first Knight in the NFL. And I wanted to start off by asking you, I mean, growing up in the area, did you ever imagine you'd be playing in the stadium for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Man, absolutely not.
I mean, I used to always come to the games. Me and my boys would buy a couple tickets. You know, you could buy them game day, a few dollars. We'd ride down here, catch them sometimes. But, I mean, my focus wasn't even ever on football. So the last thing I was thinking was I'll play for the Jaguars, like my hometown, which is obviously a dream come true now, but obviously not back then.
I want to start off by asking you about your time at Creekside here. You're a tri-sport athlete. I mean, you ran track, played basketball. You were on some of the best Creekside basketball teams in school history. And with football, you had a real interesting journey. You were a running back, a wide receiver, then a corner. Didn't even play till your junior year. Could you go through your time with the Creekside Knights football program?
Yeah, so, I mean, you pretty much hit it on the head. I was football, basketball first few years. And then my football coach then came in our gym one time right after basketball practice, and he said he needs probably some athletes to come out there. So me and a couple of my boys went out there, and the rest was history. I remember lining up as safety, first play, knocked somebody's head off, and he was like, man, this dude could probably go D1. So that's why I just took off from there.
And one of the things I was wondering, with you being a tri-sport athlete, I feel like nowadays kids are quick to focus on one specific sport. So what are your thoughts on that, and what would your advice be?
I mean, it just depends on their I would guess their passion for that sport. So, I mean, if they're all into it, if that's what they feel like, you know what I'm saying, is their best chance to make it to where they want to be as a pro athlete, then I would say go for it. But obviously being more interactive in multiple sports and being able to play multiple sports, you learn more things. So I think one thing from me is playing basketball that helped my lateral quickness, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then that transitions over to football. Obviously, track helps with speed. So, I mean, there's no telling, because basketball players, I always say, you know, football players can go play basketball, but basketball players can't go play football. So it just depends on, I guess, whatever their passion is for that sport and their other ones.
Creekside's been fun to watch this year, and you got to see him week 1 against Vieira. What was it like to return to the Castle and be back in that environment?
Man, it was cool. I mean, I wasn't expecting to get the attention. You know, I always try to hide and duck off somewhere. But, you know, I saw the coaches come up. It was cool. It's just cool to be a alumni that they recognize over there. So it was obviously real fun.
Well, Darius, I thank you for your time. It was great getting to talk with you. For everyone watching this on Creekside Gameday, the full interview will be out next Wednesday on my podcast, Schlick Sports Main in the River City. Darius, thank you again for talking. I had a great time.
Thank you, Noah.
I appreciate Darius taking the time to sit down with me. I had a great time chatting with him. Now on to my next story, where I chat with Ronald Daragjati, Coach Shane Bowers, and Coach Canterbury about the Knights' success on special teams. They've had a few big-time plays out here, a few onside kicks, one against Nice, couple here against Buchholz, a fake punt that worked to perfection last week, a few big plays that changed the game on special teams. I sit down with these three figures on special teams, chat about it. So, Ronald, I want to start off by asking you what it means to be the Creekside kicker, and just a couple years after your brother Andrew was as well. It's got to be special.
Yeah, I mean, it's very special that I get to take over my brother's legacy. And I didn't really have thoughts of being a kicker coming into high school, but then Coach Mack pulled me out of class in 9th grade, and he was like, your brother's a kicker, you play soccer, so why don't you just come out? We don't have a JV kicker. So I was just like, whatever. And it changed my life.
It's worked out, and would you say this kind of tradition now that's starting to run in the family?
I mean, yeah, my family, they didn't really follow football like that, and now they're big football fans, so it definitely changed everything.
Your kickers have made little to no mistakes this year on special teams. How much confidence does that give you to, you know, be aggressive play calling and knowing they're going to go out and get the job done?
Kickers they've done such an amazing job of being ready for whatever it is that comes their way, you know, whether it's kickoffs, field goals. But it's not just the kickers, it's the entire battery. So that's the key thing. You got Owen, who is snapping the ball at a pace where no one can go and block it. You know, punter's doing the same thing when he's doing his long snap. So it's all of them working together is actually what's been great.
It's basically just based on trust. We try to do as many game-like scenarios in practice with a little outside-the-box thinking, outside-the-box planning. But when our snap, hold, and kicks op times are what they are currently, and we're putting out their major Division I college level operation times. And when you got a guy like Ronnie and Coop, who have our trust as soon as we put them out there. It's easy and it's fun to watch those guys succeed.
And last week, you not only executed a fake punt at the start of the first quarter, but you completed your first career pass. Changed the course of the game. Walk us through that play.
So we work on it at practice every day, and I tell the coaches I'm an athlete. You know, I love to play quarterback. I love to throw. So we had to go for that. You know, we were down big. We just had to make a play, and yeah.
And then later that game, you had 2 onside kicks, one at the end of that drive after you scored the touchdown. And that one, you guys, that was one of the most incredible plays I've ever seen. You kicked the ball off of that guy on Buchholz. Was that intentional?
Yes. Right before I went on the field, Coach Matt goes, aim for number 23. And I was like, all right, I'll try it, I guess. So right when I line up, I tell Bruno, who's right next to me, I'm like, all right, I'm going to kick it off 23, just go get the ball, and it worked out perfectly.
How do you go about preparing for moments like that? And practice, you know, you got to perfect those types of things. How do you go about it?
Practice is made difficult on purpose. So we, you know, whenever we're doing something, we actually make it harder on them than what it should be in a game. And if they can succeed in practice, then the game comes really easy.
And I want to hear about that outside of the box thinking. Coach Bauer said you always make it harder in practice than it is in game. What does he mean by that? Give me some examples.
Well, for me, we have 6-foot wide goalposts that we set up in practice. We have 24.5 feet goalposts in a game. But what I do is I make use of a lacrosse goal with 24-foot long extending painting sticks that I got at Home Depot. That's 6 feet wide. So that's narrower than what the Jacksonville Sharks are kicking into for field goal and PAT. And so the old adage of aim small, miss small is on display for sure there. We don't kick on full-size goalposts until team. So if it's a kicking day, we're doing off what we call them skinny sticks, and we're on skinny sticks until we've hit our kick count, and then what we've saved up in that kick count for team we use on full uprights, and then just some distracting drills, turn their focus on what their job is. I take one of the tackling donuts and literally roll it in front of them as to simulate a blocker.
That is awesome.
Right? So they can tune that out and do their job. It's a love-hate relationship with that one because I get to cheat a little bit. But if their focus is right and the leg swing is there, then we shouldn't have a problem.
How do you keep your focus as the kicker in those big-time moments, big-time plays? Kicker, one of the most clutch positions you have to be in the sport of football. What gets you in the right mindset to make those plays?
You just can't think about it. You know, I do this 100 times a day. I kick 100 balls, probably more. So you just have to zone everything out. You're already kind of zoned out with the crowd. You don't really notice, but you just can't let it get to you. It's all mental.
Certainly an interesting story there. And now to round out this episode, my prediction for tonight's game, and I think it's going to be a great one, an offensive shootout. And as for my prediction, well, here. Creekside, 35-31. I think they'll head over to Mandarin and get a big-time win coming off of the 49-41 loss to Buchholz. And that'll do it for my episode of Creekside Game Day. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. I will not be here next week as I'm going to be having a major surgery on my chest. However, I'm hoping to be back in time for Bartram Trail, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for watching. Again, be sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time here on Creekside Game Day.